So, I did, like a few weeks ago, a pitch for a Batman movie of how I would start a DC Cinematic Universe. And at the end, I pretty much capped it off with Superman. Doing the origin story of just, the spaceship crashing into Kansas and John Martha sees baby Kal-El. I largely thought of how would I do a Superman movie inside the same universe as that Batman movie I pitched? And it took me a while. Like, I knew the elements that I wanted to do. Bits and pieces, villains, what stuff I want to put in from the comics and other elements from other medias. And I finally figured it out, and I'm willing to share it to you. And I am calling this one Superman, the Last Son of Krypton. Now, first, let me start the world off. Let me set the world of Metropolis. Clark has been Superman for, I don't know, I'll say about 2-3 years. And people are still a little bit skeptical if there is a Superman, if Superman is real. Because the whole idea of a guy flies around, shoots lasers out of his eyes, is scary, but at the same time, a hard pill to swallow. And there's some normal citizens, and there's some thugs and crooks who don't believe there's a Superman. And that's where our film starts. It starts in a warehouse where a bunch of low-life gang-level thugs are standing in line, and they're like just talking and talking and feeling very nervous and all that kind of stuff, and they're waiting for someone. And someone says, like, do you think it's a smart idea? I mean, there's a guy, as I said, there's a guy who flies around, and I heard he shoots lasers out of his eyes and stuff of those lines. Like, is it smart to do this kind of stuff anymore? And a moment a truck comes along inside the warehouse and opens and steps outside is a guy named John Coleman, who is, of course, in the comics is known as Metallo. And he admits, he said that this, you're hearing hoax. The Superman isn't real, okay? Like, it's something that the Daily Planet, it's the boogeyman, it's Bigfoot, it's a myth. The guy at Gotham is more real than this Superman thing is. And the moment like the weapons are inside the fuck's hands, there's a dealing ship, Superman shows up. He crashes down between the two of them, between Coleman and the thugs, and immediately, like, logically, the thugs are like shooting Superman. Now, of course, it bounces off. Superman is unharmed, and Superman, when he gets shot in this, like, normally we just see bullets are bouncing, we don't see the repercussions. When in this version, my version of Superman is when the bullets bounce off, they bounce off. They're about to hit something. So when the bullets are flying and bouncing off, they're hitting windows and the side of the warehouse and stuff of those lines. And Coleman are like quickly getting the truck and driving along because he's like, shit, he's weird when because as I said, if you didn't know Superman exists, he would be a nightmare. He would be this guy that is unstoppable. But the moment Superman is able to, the moment Superman walks to the thugs and crosses the guns or he visions them and the stuff of those lines, he mostly said, think of your life, in our show, think of your life. Is this the way that you want to live it for the rest of it? Because it's gonna live short. And he goes and tries to chase Coleman. And, we're on the road, and Coleman's like, I need to quickly, we need to drive. Okay, Superman's in here, this Superman guy's real. And then he turns the corner, he turns the truck into a corner, and he initially said, and he sees Superman there, and he's on the brake, and he steps out, whips out his gun, and fires Superman again, because somehow, as most criminals do, they don't fucking learn. But Superman said, because we know what happens, he's like, and this truck is a gas truck. Superman is saying, in a nutshell, really think about this, because those bullets could hit me, and bounce off to this truck. But of course, but Talos doesn't, or John doesn't think of that, so initially he shoots, and the bullet bounces off, and as Superman adjusts, it bounces off on the gas truck and explodes. And the moment the bullet bounces off, Superman's like trying to whoosh in to save Coleman's life, and it does not work. He's too late. And of course, this is a Superman who, when he loses a life, it doesn't matter if it's a good guy, a bad guy, whoever. Not a part is missing, but there's a, he's sad. He wish he could save and hope he could turn the other way and stuff in those lines. And so he just slowly, he doesn't zoom into the sky, he just slowly glides up into the sky. Now we jump to the Daily Planet, and the Daily Planet is everything that you want. Everybody's reporting, everyone's doing their thing. Lois is being Lois and typing her new story. Jimmy is taking photos, testing out his camera, and Perry walks out of the office saying Grace sees his ghost, and asks, "Where is Clark Kent?" And he says that to Lois, and Lois is like, "I don't know, I'm not his babysitter." And Clark immediately walks into the office, as he immediately does, and he initially says, "Sorry, Perry, I had bad Indian food." It's like, really? For 2 hours? Yeah, it's really bad. Half the time I don't know why I haven't learned from it. And, here's the thing, Clark being Superman, whatever, like, the term to be, it doesn't matter what he says and whatever he does in the story, but, he still has the weight on his shoulders. Like, he feels like every death, everything he sees, he is hoping for a better tomorrow, for a day where this isn't occurring, that, he doesn't need to witness people getting killed and dying, seeing, John Coleman being burned to flames. For him, that weight on his shoulders. So, keep in mind, if I don't emphasize, this is how he feels. Keep that in mind. But anyway, Perry goes and says, "You need to go to LexCorp." Lex Luthor is having this presentation. Lois and Clark goes to LexCorp, and they go to this presentation. And this presentation is pretty much a show. I mean, it's Lex Luthor, for goodness sakes. Like, it's like it screams talking about Lex Luthor. So Lex Luthor walks up on this stage for this press conference. Lois and Clark are there, and he says, basically, like, Metropolis is my home. I'm there. He tells a story about him as a child, and at the end he says this, and that's why I am campaigning myself to become the next president of the United States. And of course, everyone's like whooshing in, because it's like, it's Lex fucking Luthor. He's, it's Lex Luthor, for goodness sakes. And immediately, Lois can't help herself. But says, say that a business tycoon becoming president. Let's hope America lands this time. Like, she can't help herself. And look, and Clark is like, clearly there's being a history between these two characters, between Lex and Supes, and already, and so so there's a sense of like anger and like what is Lex's planning and things on those lines. And then we cut to Star Labs. And Star Labs, we meet this character named Howard Maxwell Jenkins, who is known in the comics for being Parasite. And he is pretty much the Earth One version. He is a crook. He is a suave, like, type of thief. And he walks to Star Labs to get this particular advice. And he walks in, and then something goes wrong. An explosion happens. He grabs the thing, but it's connected, and kaboom. Clark hears it from the conference saying, "I need to go." It's like, and Lois is like, what are you doing? Like, why? Like, what is the case here? Like, why? Like, why do you need to go? It's like, I just need to go. And of course, we have Clark becoming Superman and stuff, and it's like, and goes to Star Labs and sees this fire. He blows the fire out by like one big breath, one big blow, and he sees no one's hurt but this one person. He was trapped in the rubble, and he lifts up, and he sees Raymond on the ground, basically fine from the explosion, and mainly because the Star Lab thing he was meant to steal was this kind of liquid, and the liquid has got him, which is purple, and it seems like that's the only reason why he is basically looks okay. And immediately Superman picks him up and takes him to the hospital. Now, out through this story, would be montages of Lex Luthor's campaign, what he's trying to do, what he's going to say, and constantly you see other people's opinions. You see Lois' opinion, you see Perry's opinion, you see you see Clark's opinion. Every important Metropolis person is having you hear people's opinions of what they think of Lex becoming president, and basically Clark doesn't talk like Clark. He talks like Superman. He says he's hiding something. He's talking about this, and Perry's like, it doesn't matter what you think. I want you to report this unjustly. I want you to pretend this guy is clean as hell. Pretend that he's squeaky clean, that Superman does not have some grudge. There's no big battle thing that happened when Supes first showed up. Like, don't do it. And it'd be like, it's difficult. Yeah, that's why we are called reporters. Anyway. So we got montages and stuff like that. And time passed, and we see Wayman in hospital. And, he's fine. And, a nurse walks up to him and touches him. And immediately, the moment she touches him, her, body energy is whooshing. And the moment that happens, and her skin is like, her body is looks like nothing but a raccoon. She just drops on the floor. Wayman opens his eyes and just walks in like a zombie. We jump to a Chinese restaurant where you have Lois and Clark just talking random stuff. Lois talks about her jungle father. Clark talks about Smallville, general things. And then Clark looks at the TV for a bit and sees the Parasite, weighing an incident where in Metropolis, it says like Metropolis Hospital, something horrible is happening and stuff in those lines. Flies towards it, Superman, and sees all the damage, sees all the shells, see everything, and sees like who would do this, who would done this, and then we jump to Wayne just walking as a zombie, but he's more purple, like, and he's more buff, he's more big, and out of the blue, he's just starting touching people left, right, center. The life energy is sucking out and dying into him, and he's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And Superman looks out the window and basically sees the carcasses, the 12 carcasses. So he flies towards it, follows them, lands next to wife one of Parasite, Father Wayman, and he says, "You need to stop. Look at what you're doing. Do you?" And basically, Wayne has no attribution. Like, he doesn't know what he is, where he are. Like, he has no idea. And the moment he walks towards Superman, Superman is like, you need to stop. Quickly, you stop what you're doing. Stop it. And then he touches Superman, and immediately Superman's like, getting sucked out, and then like because of it, Paris. This is gonna be a little bit like that Supergirl episode. He becomes. Like, Wayman just becomes this big purple, like, guy. He becomes Parasite, when he, appears by the way he looks like in the comics. And it's horrible, and he just screams and just, swings right in Superman's face and chucks him aside. And Superman, he's powered down. Like, he's not like, he's not like all the other victims, who are dead. So Superman just flies up into the sun, gets all of the solar energy, and flies back down. And he goes and it passes through the Chinese restaurant that Lois Clark were in. And this is a content. Like, very complex fight. Lois sees Parasite walking by. Parasite notices Lois, walks towards her, and once again Superman glasses down, and he basically says, "Lois, one, go," and he's basically thinking like. In his head, he's like, how do I fight it? Like, clearly what his whole thing is, he sucks the life energy out of you. How can I, punch? How can I fight anyone who I can't punch or who just sucks the life energy? And he realizes that the only thing I need to do is not let him touch me, not the other way around. So he just goes punch and kicks and just holds every like arm and punch and there's a big fight between Parasite and Superman, and it it's epic and fight, and it's everything you want. He uses heat vision, all the powers, all that kind of stuff, and it works. And when and Parasite, when basically in a nutshell, where Superman knocks out Parasite. Parasite goes back to Wayman. Wayman is taken to custody, and then he gets locked up in the cell that's kind of like making sure that no physical contact is ever going to be needed to hand him food and stuff in those lines. So the Parasite thing's all done and fixed. The only thing is, we jump like 4 months later. It's the election, and people are like, "God, what are we gonna do? Let's hope. I mean, I hope. Let's hope Lex doesn't become president. Oh shit, Lex is president." And the moment Lex is announced president and he does the big speech and all that kind of stuff, Superman flies up to LexCorp. And you have that iconic Lex Superman scene. And he says, and in a nutshell, it's that whole thing of, I'll be watching you. You know, you stay, you know, if you do anything weird, if you are not a changed man, basically, I'm going to stop you if you play anything, president or not. And then we jump to the final scene, where you see John Condon again. He's all new, fresh, he's all that, and Lex Luthor walks in, and he says, how do you feel now you know the Superman is real? How much do you want revenge? And you know, he says, pretty much, I want to fight him fair and square. Well, we just need to open your heart. And playing, he will become Metallo. So, that's the end of the Superman story. Maybe it's not as tight of a story as, say, the Batman one, but it's a fun, easy guy. I always said, like, if you're going to do a first movie thing, you know, you make it simple. Don't make it as complex as maybe a sequel, you know, and stuff as designed. So, yeah. What? Next up is the Batman-Superman team-up.